welcome everyone. Welcome to Oz by Drone. I'm Greg.
I'm John. How, everybody? Glad to be back.
Good to have you back, Johnny. What's been happening? You've been out of commission a little bit.
Yeah, out of commission this week. Well, of course, last week, what happened in Sydney with the storms. I was on the boat and we got tied up, tying everything down, actually. It's a pretty wild day for us. But this week I had a total new knee replacement. Anybody who's had that knows what it is. So I still got my hospital band on. They let me out yesterday. I still may be under the effect of certain drugs that they gave me during the week. But hey, let's not let that hold things up.
That should make it interesting.
Make it very interesting. I can't move around much, but anyway, look, it's great to be here. I wouldn't miss the show. I'm alive. I'm upright. I'm breathing. I've got a new knee. So we'll see how that goes. And looking forward to today's show.
Speaking of Australia storms, I just want to share, for those people who are not Australian residents watching us today, Australia, we're an interesting country. Over the last, number of years, we've had drought. Everyone knows that Australia is famous for having droughts. Then we had fires. Then after the fires, we had floods. Then after the floods, we've had storms where trees have been knocked over and Sydney has been absolutely pummeled. Not just Sydney, but the entire eastern seaboard heading north. And then after that, there's more, John. There's more. There's been drop bears attacking left, right and centre.
I heard that the other day. While I was in hospital, drop bears everywhere falling from the sky.
I know.
Unprecedented
I know. It's
scale.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But let me just quickly share. Yeah. Look, let me just share. It's interesting. There's a photo we're going to put up on the screen now. This is part of that's not the photo. Let's do the photo first. This is the photo of part of, and let's put that full screen. This is part of the townhouse complex where I live. This happened to be some aerial photography that was taken just before the storms. And then after the storms. Yeah. Do you want to say anything, John? John, do you want to say anything about that mission, that flight?
Well, we were doing a roof inspection that day and boundary control, and it was just a pitch 4D flight. Luckily that we did about 1 week just before the storms arrived. So still in the fire season there, but we got some nice pictures. You got an after shot, have you?
Well, before the after shot, let's look at the during shot, so the video. This is during the storm.
Oh, yeah, nice one. Nice size tree.
So let's leave that on the screen for a minute, and I'll just describe what you're looking at. Okay, let's put that back on the screen. So what you're looking at, this is a tree that's approximately 4 stories high, and the camera that's taking that as part of the security system for the complex, and it's at 2 stories high. And if you can imagine, that tree hit the building where the camera is and punctured a hole in the double brick wall, and the building on the far right-hand side of that, it knocked out 2 windows, one of the windows that smashed while the occupant was sitting just inside. And it was not a pretty sight.
Well, Greg,
let's go to the after photo.
It was so widespread. Oh, you got the after photo from above?
So there's the after photo from above. Now, if you notice the neighbour's yard, you can see the remnants of the tree trunk that's there. The tree also smashed and squashed one of my neighbour's vehicles that was parked in his car spot at the side there. So he lost that car. So we've got a before and after shot, so the insurance company absolutely will love us for this one.
Well, now you make a point of that, Greg. You and I have been flying insurance jobs with the Phantom 4 Pros. Air assessed the guys in Melbourne the other day, and they, just to get an idea of the jobs, they said they've got 1,300 jobs aerial insurance waiting to do at $100 a job. And interestingly enough, that that's just a very seasonal work. But we have talked about it before, but very handy to have these aerial shots of your property. So think about it, folks. If you live in a stormy area, regularly take shots of your roof area, showing the condition of your roof, show what's in the yard, what's there. Because if a storm comes along and takes it away, you've got a nice aerial photograph of where it was sitting and what it was like. And it's a good use to use with your airborne camera.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know, Pix4D comes with a 2-week trial license that allows you to stitch all that together. The very first time you do it, you get free of charge the before shot. It doesn't cost you any money. And if you need it again after a claim, well, the insurance company, I'm sure, could cover that if they want you to fly it. They may send someone else themselves to fly it, but at least you've got the before shot. Anyway, so Absolutely. That's what's been happening. A couple of other quick things I'm only going to briefly touch on, which is Sutherland Shire Council locally here. I've been talking about it before, how they're preventing us from going and flying in an area that we should be able to fly. Long story short is that we've now got a GIPA request into them. That's kind of like a Freedom of Information request, asking them to provide documents. They've failed to do so, so we'll see where that goes. But that's just a quick little update on that for our regulars who may want to know.
Yeah,
but now it's time for the news. Let's get into it. Now, Australia, of course, as you know, we're definitely beach critters. And our first news article today comes from CASA, actually. I didn't expect CASA to be talking about this kind of thing. But are you going down to the beach this summer and you happen to be in Australia? Well, look up. You may see a drone flying around, keeping an eye on swimmers, looking out for sharks or helping with rescue efforts. The drone will be yellow and red, the official colours of Surf Lifesaving, to make sure it stands out. This news comes from CASA's Flight Safety Australia magazine, outlining the use of drones at some of Australia's most popular beaches this summer. The drones flying above, of course, will be used for safety, surveillance, search and rescue, along with sports video. Now, what we're looking at the moment, this is being flown, this is a little Ripper being used to go and send out rescue equipment to someone. But just out of interest, I did hear from one of our viewers last week, the lifeguards were actually earlier this year doing REPL training. I don't know how they were charging for that, if they were training for that, but certainly I'm trying to remember who it was. It was the gent that we had last week from Wollongong who said they were doing that.
I went and chased up Greg, and what happened was the two instructors that I spoke to were highly experienced pilots themselves, and they were doing instructing, but they were only teaching to the excluded category. They weren't doing REPL instructing, but they did have REPLs themselves. And in September last year, Surf Lifesaving got their own REOC, their own certificate, and I've actually spoken to their chief pilot based up in Belrose, and we're going to be going up and helping them with some EVLOS operations next year, so they can work beyond visual line of sight with the aircraft they've got. So that's going to be fun. But they did the right thing. They have to. Actually, they didn't have a choice. And they asked CASA to come in and sort of give them a pathways. But Peter and Greg, I met the two REPLs. Both of them are A380 captains with Qantas. So they're both surf lifesavers, and they're highly experienced pilots.
Okay, sounds good. We'll certainly check out in the chat to see if there's anything further from our viewers there. The second story today is all about batteries, and specifically battery life, which is a never-ending challenge for drones of all types. The product that you're going to see here is Blue Vigil RS1000, which operates with a DJI Inspire 1, Inspire 2, Matrice 200 or 210, or in fact any drone that operates on 12 or 24 volt batteries. Blue Vigil, this particular company, manufactures their tether power systems designed for off-the-shelf drones. The ground-based tether allows unlimited flight time when connected to a power source, whether it be generator, household current or battery. This ground system includes the ground-based tether unit, a power cord, and also their battery replacement module. So if you can imagine, you've got the tether and something that's fitting into the existing... Did I just see what I thought I saw? I thought I saw a super chat from Ken. Hang on, I haven't got that in front of me. Interrupt the news, stop the press. $50 from Ken Heron. This is my Ray Bob impression. What do you think? Thank you for that, Ken. I appreciate it very much. Very, very, very much. You know, I did actually have something intended to work today. It was meant to do an automated video pop-up, but that didn't work. But I'm experimenting with that. I'll have a look at that another time. But thanks for that very much. So that's the tethering system. John, talk to us about it. Have you played with tether at all?
Yeah, we've played with a couple of tethers actually, and one of them hooked on the DJI Inspire. We've got a tether, a non-powered tether for the Phantom and the Mavic, and they work fine. I mean, one of the things we found about the DJI tether that we use, very limited in wind. So once you get any kind of wind at all, you've got some problems. So a lot of companies that were keen on having tethers and thought that, you know, well, we could have 24-hour operations and have it in the air. Far from that. You have to sit there right with it. You can't launch an aircraft and have to just sit on the tether there as an airborne camera at all. It won't last long at all. The first gust of wind that comes along, it can get tangled up. So they're going to get more and more sophisticated as time goes on. But at the moment, they do have some limitations. I'd say we're in very early stages of that kind of development to have tethers. And in fact, a lot of development is being put into autonomous flying, non-tethered flying, and the aircraft coming back and putting another battery in as a much better way to have continuous flying.
Yeah. Still interesting to have a look at, and good to see that they're trying to do something that will work with some off-the-shelf hardware that you can buy without having to buy a super expensive drone. Our third story today, we're going to go out of the tethering and we're going to jump into the weeds. So this one, Andrew Davies is the first drone pilot to be granted a drone spraying license for weeds in Tasmania, Australia, after years of fighting to get the license. He was previously working in mining and construction, and he saw a hole in the market and decided to fill it using a drone equipped with pesticide sprayers. Andrew and his drone are fighting weeds in places too dangerous to send someone in, or areas that aren't accessible by aircraft. For example, he's partnered with Hydro Tasmania to spray weeds growing out of a dam wall, a task that used to be undertaken by an abseiler. Interesting use of drones and spraying, but it's good to see that the regulators in Australia are getting those things through and getting them passed. And John has frozen up there. Just a quick oh no, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Just so you know, John, the internet's a little bit blocky with yourself today, but that just to share with our viewers, John's not in his normal location, and if he freezes on screen, apologies for that. But have you done any research into spraying applications? What are the regulatory challenges?
They're actually good. One of the things that you're allowed to do if you own the land that you're spraying on, there's a weight lift. You can basically operate aircraft up to 150 kilos with an REPL, or up to 25 kilos without any license at all, provided you're using it for agricultural purposes on your own land. So that's kind of nice. You've got to be not doing it for hire or reward, or you're not working on someone else's land. You've got to be doing it on your own land. It's kind of an interesting one out of left of field, but I think CASA decided that so much of Australia could benefit from this kind of application, applying pesticides and weeding, and from remotely piloted vehicles, that they sort of decided to trailblaze a little bit in what might be possible. So yeah, I know there's a couple of other aircraft, the Yamaha helicopter, if anybody's familiar with that, that's 150 kilos, 149 kilo, and to be clear, that's a big remotely piloted helicopter with spray bars on it, and does the work of a small agricultural aircraft very effectively. So there are a few of those around. They're very expensive and are reasonably tricky to operate. You need some experience with them. But you're going to see a lot more of these in the future for sure.
Speaking of spraying, there's another story that came across us today. This one in China with regard to the coronavirus. One villager in the city of Heze, Heze, in Shandong. He offered his personal drone, which was used to disinfect an area of 16,000 square metres in one single morning. The unmanned aerial vehicles are proving to be a much faster method of delivering public hygiene than traditional means, either on foot or by lorry. Let's have a look at some video. So this was just something we found on a Facebook kind of post, so it's not super clear, and unfortunately he suffered from vertical video syndrome. But from what I gather, there's other people that have now caught on to this, and this is some of the more widespread spraying happening in China now. Now, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I don't know of the effectiveness of spraying disinfectant on stopping the virus, but, you know, I give props to them, pardon the pun, for having a try.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? I mean, you've got to have a laugh at first, don't you?
Look, you have a laugh. I mean, I'm just imagining a drone with a can of Glen 20 strapped underneath, and, you know, it's positive that they're trying, but I don't know that it's going to be necessarily effective. I mean, if it was an antiviral spray that had a known suppression effect, then maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, if you know anything about spraying, there's a lot of problems with it. Ultra low volume spraying is not very effective from the altitude they're doing it. You actually need to spray pretty much directly on top of something very close to it to get an application of it. Anything that's sort of water-based in the air will evaporate pretty soon as it gets into the prop wash. And, you know, we've looked at all this stuff before, and ULV spraying, usually you've got to get the spray booms away from the props, and you've got to get right over whatever you want to hit and make sure that if you want an application of the liquid onto something, otherwise it just evaporates in the air, and once it's in the air, it can go up. It doesn't have to go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
speaking of corona... Yeah, speaking of corona, I've got two more quick little stories on that one. The first one is using drones for transportation purposes. Obviously, there are some areas that are highly restricted in parts of China at the moment, but on the 6th of February, that marks the launch of the first urban air transportation channel to help fight the coronavirus outbreak in China. Xinjiang is located in Zhejiang province, one of the most severely virus-hit provinces, with already 1,006 patients confirmed. As soon as news of the virus came out, on January 23rd, a particular company, Antwerp, immediately contacted the health and disease control departments in various regions and took out the initiative to permission for technical support of drone air transportation of the frontline medical institutions fighting against the epidemic. So they're moving stuff around for medical supply purposes. You know, we've seen that kind of thing happening before, but just sharing that it's a good use of drones to help in the fight against this virus at the moment.
Yeah, that's a very practical and sensible way to use them. Obviously, even a man-carrying, ambulance type stretcher aircraft will be good in the future for more and more of this, not having to putting and being able to lift people who are very, very sick into areas lift them into areas where they're quarantined. So yeah, there's a lot of sense in that. For
Speaking of coronavirus-related transport, an Australian couple confined to their cruise ship cabin due to the coronavirus outbreak appear to be making the best of their unfortunate predicament with the help of some wine. With limited onboard supplies, Jan and Dave Binskin from Palm Beach in Queensland said they had 2 cases of vino delivered to their door after putting in a request with their wine club. The company, named Naked Wine Club, interesting name, surprisingly obliged and flew the valuable product to their Diamond Princess cruise using a drone, according to the post on Facebook. They posted, "Naked Wine Club, you're incredible, just got the first drop. Thank God for drones. The Japanese Coast Guard did not know what the *** was going on," the couple wrote on their joint account on Facebook. So an amusing use of drones to fight coronavirus and bring some vino.
Yeah, I've had a Coronas delivered myself, but a very interesting one. And Naked Wines are always up there for some good publicity. They're local to us here, actually. They're a company that started in the area here. So I've got no surprise at all that they're into that, and good on them.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's going to. Yeah, got a super chat. Look at that.
Oh, whoa. I'll have to have a look at that when it comes up. Lloyd put it up on the screen. But just a quick comment. I heard that the beer company that previously made the Corona brand, they've actually renamed their beer. They're now calling it SARS. Sorry. Wayne King, thank you very, very much for the super chat. I appreciate that very, very much. It's well received. Thank you. Okay, so enough with the humour, and we've got a guest waiting in the wings here at the moment. We're going to pause the news halfway down, and we're going to go to our guest. We have James Tanner. He is based in the Philippines, and he's coming to join us live from the Philippines today. He's got a channel called My PI Dream. So without further ado, welcome, James. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. Good morning. Magandang umaga.
I was wondering if you were going to say that. Magandang umaga to you too.
It must be done.
It's kind of almost a catch line from your channel. Every time you start a video, we hear that line. Do you want to just share for non-Filipino connected people? What's it mean?
It means good morning. Magandang, magandang is beautiful. Umaga is morning. So if you wanted to say good morning or good afternoon or good evening, you say magandang umaga or magandang hapon or magandang gabi for the evening time.
Yeah.
So literally, that's what it is.
All I need to say is just after Valentine's Day, I've just got to remember two words, mahal kita.
Mahal kita. Very important words to know.
My beautiful producer over to my left is, I'm sure, chuckling and grinning, but I can't see her face at the moment. Now she's making awful faces. Anyway, moving right along. James, so you originally came from the US and you've moved to the Philippines. Give me a brief explanation. Why did you pick the Philippines, other than the obvious of your partner, or how did it all come about?
Well, that's the main reason. My wife, my asawa here, she's actually from this area where we purchased this property at, and I always really wanted to live in retire in a tropical type of environment, and the Philippines is truly a tropical paradise here. I was kind of hoping to get, when you think about tropical paradises, you think about all of the coconut trees, all the palms and white sandy beaches. And when she said she wanted to move back to her, this is the town that she actually grew up in, Lipa, in Batangas, in the southern part of Luzon. When she said here, I was like, well, it's really not that close to the beach. But what I found out that this is actually a diamond in the rough here, because Lipa is on a elevated topography here compared to going maybe 15 kilometers south or 15 kilometers north, all the way up to Manila, where the elevation drops down. Here, the climate is very, very, very kind in the fact that it's nice and cool. We have a very moderate temperature all year round, so it's a very comfortable place to live. But we bought the property back here in 2000, I think it was 2010. We sat on it for a while we were developing our plan for our house here, the design of our house. And then in January of 2017, about 3 years ago, we started the build, and it took us about a year to build our home here. And then we started the vlog.
And just in case people are interested, a large part of your channel is actually about the building of your house and other similar related construction, because I think it'd be fair to say building in the Philippines is nothing like building in the West.
It's in several respects, that's true. When you build here in the Philippines, of course, the construction materials it's quite different to North America specifically, because we build in North America, our construction, all of our framing is mainly wood, all wood based, because we have an abundance of wood resources in the United States, Canada as well. But over here, all of the construction for all the walls and floors and everything, it's all concrete and steel reinforcement. So for me, I have a little bit of construction background because my father was a contractor. So when I came over here, there was a little bit of a learning curve going from wood to concrete, but it was a learning experience and interesting. And building with concrete and steel reinforcement actually makes for a very, very strong house. And you kind of need it over here in the Philippines, as you'll see probably when we go later on to the channel information about what has been going on in the past 30 days here in the Philippines.
Yeah, so let's briefly talk about that now. I've got a video. We're just going to play that. It's not a short video, so I'll just give our viewers that warning in advance. But we're going to jump in and talk over the top of it. Some of the video is drone related. In fact, actually a lot of it is drone photography in there. I focused in on that. But after today's show, James has a premiere happening on his channel. And I encourage absolutely everyone in watching today to go over to James's channel and have a look at that. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But let's just play the clip first.
Good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Today is Sunday, and it's a special edition of My PI Dream as we are going to do a trip today out at Lake Taal, or Taal Lake as it's better well known here. And hopefully we're going to get an opportunity to go up to Taal Volcano and do some hiking up there. We're in Talisay. So we're in Talisay and Batangas. And these are the boats out here. These are the type of boats that we're going to take our trip out. And he's actually going to take us out to on Taal Lake, and then we're going to go to Taal Volcano. Well, thank you, Angelo.
Okay, so that was the brief introduction to this clip. We got some nice music in the background. I'll just fade that a little bit. There we go. So James, Taal Volcano, you've been there a few times.
The tour guide said
That's correct.
that it is about 1 hour hiking to get to the top of the volcano.
I have an audio. Hey, Ness?
We're just beginning. I was just informed by Debbie. You see the steam coming up?
Are you hearing the audio?
Feel the heat.
Yeah.
Oh, because Taal is actually still, it's active.
Yeah, it's active.
It's still active, and this is the steam being released from underneath the volcano. Oh, you could really, whew, and you can smell the sulfur.
So I'll just turn the music down again for a little bit. So it's a 1 hour hike up there, you were saying?
Well, actually the audio was, I don't know if everybody else is having the same problem that I'm having.
No,
here.
it's only you. Welcome to Wirecast anyway.
Yeah, I lost a lot of the audio that's inside here. But yeah, it's there's two ways to approach the crater island in the center of the volcano. And one is from, it depends on which side of the volcano that you actually arrive on. One side is from Talisay, and the other side is from San Nicolas. And there's two observation centers. One is from the San Nicolas side, and the other one's from Talisay. So you have two ways of getting up to the top. You can either hike it like we did on the first trip up there, and on the second trip they have these very small, they call them horses, but they're like miniature horses. They're like
donkeys,
ponies. Yeah, almost.
And
yeah.
just to interrupt you, this is the crater lake that we're looking at the moment.
That's correct. So if your viewers actually hang on to when we start our premiere later on at 9 a.m. local here, right directly after this broadcast, you'll see it doesn't look anything like this. I don't want to have any spoiler alerts, but it doesn't look anything like this beauty that you see right here. But there's some beauty in what you'll see in the later broadcast.
Yeah, so my regular viewers here will have seen, we've been talking about the volcano eruption in Taal, etc. So they're well aware of what's been happening. But this is a before shot and some beautiful, beautiful footage of that. This was your first trip, and in a few moments we're going to go to your second trip as well. But while we're just watching in the background, tell me a little bit about the impact to you and your home from the ashfall and so forth, and also people closer.
Well, for us, it wasn't too bad. We live directly to the east of Taal. When the volcano erupted on the 12th, January 12th, most of the major impact, which actually it started by lots and lots of huge smoke and ash just plummeting up inside the sky, and then the eruptions started. The movement, the seismic movement, actually started probably about 10 o'clock that evening. But all the ashfall, the huge volume of ashfall that was produced by the eruption, mainly affected those people to the north and to the west of Taal. Again, we live on the east. Now, the next morning when we woke up, over the next couple of days, it was a mess here, but we had, it was a nuisance more than anything else. And we had to keep all of our windows closed here because the wind blowing the ash, it was just, it was toxic. It was really toxic. So we had to keep everything closed for for almost a week. We had to keep all the windows closed. Now we just revisited this area, as you'll see on, for those who watched the premiere of the episode that's coming up in about 30 minutes. We just revisited, and we got to go to the places that were in lockdown. We weren't allowed to go into some areas for about 3 weeks. We weren't because the PNP, the Philippine National Police, had all these areas in lockdown. Blocking the roads, wouldn't let you inside there. So I didn't know what was going on in these areas, and we just revisited those. And there were certain areas, and it's funny, the areas that were really devastated, how particular. It's almost like, when you have rain, you have these rain clouds sometimes, and it'll rain right where you're at, but right across the street, there's not a bit of rain. They have like a sunshine beating right through the clouds. Well, that's kind of how Taal dropped the volcanic ash on these communities. It just devastated. It put 2 inches or more, 2 inches, some places maybe 3 inches of the volcanic ash on the top of these roofs in certain areas, but other areas got very, very little of the ash that went down. So
speaking of, you mentioned to the northwest, that's actually, I think, the exact direction to where my family was. They were 20 kilometers away, but they are northwest, straight from the center of the crater in Amadeo. So it was definitely a difficult time over there for a lot of people.
It still is.
My wife's just saying that we didn't have electricity at first, that was for a week and a half or thereabouts. And what's even more frustrating is that the water supply over there uses the electricity to go and pump the groundwater and to treat it and all of those kind of things. So no power equals no water. But things are a lot better, at least where my family are. But that's not the only place. There's a lot of impact still in a lot of parts of the Philippines.
And there is. And again, the video that's coming up here in just a few minutes is it kind of shows that, because what happens sometimes, the media at the initial impact of any type of a disaster, it's very visual, and you see everything, but as things start normalizing a little bit, they kind of go away from the initial disaster, but there's still a lot of people that are affected, and that's what we wanted to show in our video, our upcoming video, is that there are still a lot of people who they're living, they're still evacuated. There's so many evacuation centers that still have thousands upon thousands of people over there. And we wanted to show why they can't go back to their homes right now. Now, we're really lucky, we're really fortunate that we were waiting. They have alert levels here. It's alert levels 0 to 5. Where 5 being the absolute Armageddon type of a situation with the lava just bursting all over, and they have volcanic tsunamis and all the different terms that the seismology and the volcanic people talk about. But we sat in, when it was in its fury, we were in a 4. And then about a week later, they moved down to a level 3. And we've been in a level 3 for about a month now. But as of yesterday, here, Valentine's Day on the 14th, They just moved the alert condition from a 3 to a 2. So they've determined with the level of activity that's been going on, the seismic activity and all the things that they do at the specialty centers, that we are now safe enough to the point that if people want to go back and start doing some reconstruction for the houses that have been destroyed, that they can actually do that, because they were blocking people. The government has supplied money, local municipalities have provided money. They have it basically kind of in a holding pattern, what they did while it was in a alert level 3.
I'm just quickly going back over here. I've just moved it on a bit.
So without further delay, let's get today's video.
You know, it's a coincidence today. It's the anniversary.
This is our
date.
This is our Rotary Club. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of the South here in Lipa, and we do humanitarian type of support. And this actual visit to the island here, we went out there because we were trying before because there were thousands of people that actually lived out on the volcano itself, and our goal here, they have no fresh water because all the water in the ground is based with lots of sulfur. And they have all their fresh water. It comes in on boats and bottles. So what the Rotary Club, our initiative at the time, was to build them a freshwater pumping supply system that runs off of solar power, because they don't have electricity there either. And this was back, I think, what was this? This was last year, maybe around September. I think this was in September.
Yeah. I just want to qualify. People may not get this. There are people living on this island where this volcano lives that has been there, and you know they have lost just about everything. I haven't seen footage of the houses and so forth, but they can't go back there at this time.
I don't think they're going to be able to go back for a very long time. This is a great picture right here. I want you to look. You see this little rock island in the center of Crater Lake here? So if you just visualize this, keep that in the back of your mind, because your viewers who will be following on to the episode that we're airing directly after this, I want you to look at that same rock, what it looks like right now as compared to what you see in this beauty of the island in the center of the volcano crater lake here.
Yeah, this whole thing is an incredible teaser. I'm deliberately not going to show any of your new content. I've got a couple of still photos, and I really encourage people to go over to your channel after the show. Hopefully Nightbot's been putting your channel link into the chat. But let's just enjoy this for a couple of seconds. John, from a drone and photography perspective, have you flown a volcano before?
Not me. No, not even close. It looks fantastic. There's one in Mount Gambier. It's a beautiful blue lake down there. But I haven't had a chance to fly it yet. I've visited it a few times, but I'm hoping to fly it in the future. But it's a very extinct volcano. But yeah, an exciting place to fly.
Yeah. Just quick side comment. Thank you to the couple of people, Metro Drones and Adam Gleason. Thanks for your super chats. Appreciate that. It's very, very much appreciated. Speaking of which, if you do want to help directly with aid to people in the Philippines, I know James, we've done something on my channel which helped some people through my family, but also James is doing a little bit more organised stuff, particularly probably with Rotary and other stuff that you're involved in. Is there any link that you want to put in the chat that we can share for you, James, for people who might want to help out?
Actually, we started a GoFundMe. I'm working in tandem with the Rotary. We have some projects where we're taking donations and collections through the Rotary, and we're doing distribution through them. But also, as a private citizen over here, my wife and I started a GoFundMe account, and it was extremely surprising. Pleasantly surprised that there were so many people that opened up their hearts and opened up their pocketbook, so to say, It was too fast. We had too much money, if you can say that. We had too much money coming in really quickly, and we wanted to be able to control the transparency of how we do the distribution. So we closed the fund very shortly after we opened it because we had a small goal. Because we absorbed in our community here, our barangay, which we are 21 kilometers from the center of the volcano. We absorbed at the beginning, it was about 115 families. It was well over 500 people that we put into our local homes here in our barangay here. But when you have all these people coming in, we put some people in the church. We put some people, well, the majority of them were just absorbed by the community in the homes here. Their homes became evacuation centers. But with that, you need a lot of logistics support. So we started the GoFundMe with a very modest goal. And within about the first 10 hours, we exceeded that goal from the generosity of the people, mainly from our channel, who have been following our channel and know what our community is like.
I'm just going to interrupt briefly for a moment just to share. This is the third of the videos that I had a look at from your channel, and this is, post-eruption. And you drove to, what town was it that you launched from?
This town is very close to San Jose. It's on the west side. It's on the east side. It's on the same side as Lipa is over here. And this area wasn't affected. It was affected, but not nearly as much as we talked about earlier, to the west and to the north. Now the goal, I'll lead into this video that you have here. Our goal here, because we couldn't get to the area on the east side, because remember, it was all in lockdown. Well, we had just visited an evacuation center in San Luis, which is all the way to the south. And we tried to circumnavigate all these different back roads to get onto the west side, but they were all blocked. They were all in lockdown. The PNP wouldn't allow us entrance into any of these areas. So we said, we don't want to leave without any drone footage to show what the volcano looks like today. So we went to a spot that was this is about 11 kilometers from the center of the volcano. So I flew, and I think this episode right here was the episode I said almost, I believe the title was almost dropped the drone into the lake or something like that. We almost crashed. And the reason I said that is because I exceeded, I kind of pushed the limits of the Phantom 4 that we have here. It's 11 kilometers out there, and we flew almost 11 kilometers, but we flew with a tailwind that was pushing me so hard. We were running about 32 miles per hour from the backwind. Now, I didn't calculate that too well in the back of my mind. If I have a 15 or 20 mile per hour tailwind pushing me, I'm going to be against that coming back. So on the trip back from the edge of the volcano here, we had such a big headwind. I got the alert warning very early that you have to return to home, and you don't have very much battery life left inside there. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle to come back from this flight to the volcano. Now, what happens, I'm sure you guys are much more familiar with drone life than I am.
So, John, Mr. Morrison, any thoughts and comments on headwind, tailwind? I think he's either frozen. There we go. No, we've lost John. So this was a close call, and I've got a question. Oh no, John's dropped out totally, unfortunately. But let me just share, right? So the question that you and I spoke about last time was what to do when you're low battery coming back from somewhere. You made a comment that you stopped recording because you thought maybe that would save some electricity in some way, shape, or form.
I thought some of the resources, yeah.
Yeah. That is it's good thinking to be thinking like that, but just to share with our viewers my understanding and my expectations, if I ever have a low battery problem, I'm not going to stop recording because the amount of electricity required, your camera is still going to be transmitting back to your controller. So the camera's still on. The only thing that's different is chucking it on an SD card, and the amount of power required to put something on an SD card, very, very low. But the question is, what else can you do and change in your behavior so that you can get the best mileage out of your drone? And I would suggest to anyone in that circumstance, turn off sensors, number one, because if you're in the middle of nowhere and your primary function is to get back, you don't really care about worrying if there's something nearby. So turn off your sensors. And the second thing, this is something you need to kind of learn ahead of time. The way to get the best mileage out of a drone is whenever it's got the sound is the lowest. So if you think of the sound that the drone is making, where it's a lower kind of sound, that's what the speed that you want to achieve. That's the outcome you want to achieve. It's hard to do it when the aircraft is obviously further away from you and you can't hear it, but you kind of get to know the feeling of your drone and how it's fighting against the wind and stuff like that. So those are my two suggestions anyway. John would have more, except that he's dropped out.
Well, something I'd like to comment while we're here talking about that is the fact, and I'm sure many of your viewers felt what I felt, that sinking feeling inside your stomach when you're thinking, I might be dropping a $2,000 drone right in the middle of a lake somewhere. But when the drone was coming back, and you're talking about what you can do at the time, basically turn off your sensors. Well, when you're coming back and you're struggling, trying to go through your menus on your little screen to be able to turn off these things, that's in the back of your mind. That's the last thing that you're thinking about at that point. For me, the sinking feeling that I got is when it starts doing an automatic descend. And that's what the Phantom was doing. It was trying to find a landing site. It doesn't know it's in the middle of a lake because it will do that. It will do a organized return, try to do a return to home. But if it can't make it to home, it's just going to land nice and organized wherever it can land. And that's what it was trying to do. It was trying to land in the middle of the lake. So what I ended up doing, the sticks on the controller, I struggled at the very beginning when I was trying to do, because it was going down, I'm trying to go back up, and it wouldn't respond at the very beginning. But for some reason, at some point, it allowed me to regain control. I was able to gain a little bit of altitude and then land appropriately at our launch site with 2% battery is what we had when we landed that.
Yeah. Okay, look, it's been interesting chatting to you. Again, viewers, this is happening as a live premiere after the show today. Please, I encourage you to go and jump into there. What we're going to do now, we're going to do it a little bit out of order. We were going to do a few more news articles, but before we do that, we're going to play the game that we love to play here. Actually, you know what? Before we do anything else, let me just put these couple of quick shots on the screen. So this is a photo that you shared with us inside the belly of the beast. So that's the thumbnail from your show that we've got on today, and we've got a couple more shots that will quickly... There we go. There's a sneak preview. It was a beautiful lake before.
Well, that right there is just before you go over the crater inside.
Yeah. And the next shot? What was that of?
This actually, we were on our way back. This is on the northwest side between Talisai and where we launched the drone to go into the crater. Now, like I was telling you, it's amazing. Some spots look untouched by the volcanic ash, and this was one spot. As we were driving, I said, "Oh, we have to stop. We have to pull over on the side of the road." And this is a fish camp. That's how they make their livelihood all around Taal Lake. Inside the lake, and you see right there where they have the fishery. where they build up the walls, and they have their own little fish hatcheries that they have inside there. And when I saw that and how vast it was, I said we have to take a video. So at the very end, after everything about the volcano, we went ahead and added that because the scenery was just beautiful. Now this was our launch site. This site right here is approximately 5.4 kilometers from the very center of the crater. This is the closest point that I could find using Google Earth and mapping to be able to do a launch from. And we talked to the fishermen that actually live right there on that edge of that little peninsula right there. And we got their story. I hope the closed caption comes up. My wife and I worked on closed caption because they're speaking all in Tagalog at that point. You might have to click closed caption to hear what they're saying, so to experience what they experience. But that's where we launched right there.
Yeah. Okay, look, we'll leave it there today. We're going to do one last thing now. Over here, we've got this. We've got...
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stop the Yank.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anything else in between, this is the game that we love to play, that you love to watch, and watch our American friends squirm as we try and quiz them about things in Australia. It's time to play Stump the Yank. Okay, we'll get rid of the music. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got Lloyd in the background, and considering John's internet has died wherever he was, Lloyd's going to be our quiz master. He was going to be anyway, but he'll finish out the show for us as well today. So Lloyd, you're the quiz master. What do you got for us today?
Okay, I've got a couple. A couple. Okay. First one. A chook. Is it... I'm getting feedback here for some reason. Anyways, it's a chook. Yeah. Is it a chicken? Is it a famous Australian beer? Or is it what they used to play badminton with?
So what is a chook? Is it a chicken, an Australian beer, or something that you play badminton with?
You said it's chook. Is that's the word, chook?
Yeah.
Chook. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say chicken.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Right. Number one, correct. Okay, what's your second one?
A Drongo. Again, another famous Australian beer. Or a fool, or a wild dog found in the outback.
Oh,
so what's a drongo?
Well, it sounds to me. It sounds to me like it would be like a wild dog in the outback, but I'm just gonna say.
No,
you missed
it's
that
a
one.
fool.
It's
You're the drongo of the day. You got it wrong.
Yeah, you're the drongo of the day.
Well, 50-50. That's not too bad.
All right, let's go for the. Let's see, what's that last one I was going. Okay. Fair Dinkum. Again, another Australian beer. Or is it a political slogan famous in Australia? Or is it just to mean honestly? Fair Dinkum.
Fair Dinkum. Okay, let's go with honestly.
You got it.
Correct answer. But the only thing I would say, Lloyd, it's not a question unless you know what I mean. Fair dinkum, mate.
Yeah,
you know?
Like honestly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to use that on one of my upcoming episodes here.
Yeah, fair dinkum.
Okay, look, it was great having you here. We've got a couple of news articles left and we've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to try and get through all of them. So what we're going to do, we're going to have my producer put Lloyd into where John was and do this at very high speed. And in the meantime, tell me, what are viewers going to see on your channel today while she's going and doing all that chopping and changing? This video. quick marketing plug.
It's a very dynamic video. It's going to have some really great video footage, like you said. We got into the crater. There's a lot of people that are trying to do drone shots around here, but I think some of the drones that they're using are some modest or low-level type of a drone. And the Phantom 4 Pro that I used actually had everything it needed to get inside. The resolution that you'll see on all the other videos that you'll see on YouTube currently of what you're seeing of the volcano, it's pretty poor quality. I think our quality is extremely good. You're also going to see the devastation, the actual, as of today, what you'll see in the local communities. You'll get to see some interviews. There's just so much. This is a jam-packed episode. It's one of those that you're really not going to miss.
Okay.
We do a lot of stuff on the channel, but I don't normally promote so much. But this one video, I have to say, it's one of those you don't want to miss on our channel.
Okay. Again, thanks for being part of the show today, and I'll be heading over there in a couple of minutes myself to watch it. Catch you next time.
Thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you. See you, James.
It was a pleasure.
Okay,
Cheers.
Lloydie, jumping in. Thank you, Lloydie.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is story number 1.06, eggs. So everyone's heard of the PowerVision egg drone. Yeah, we've talked about it before. This one is also incredibly versatile in that it can fly in rain and even land on water. The optional Power Egg Wizard Pack pushes further into the unknown with a waterproof housing for the fuselage and polystyrene skids, allowing the aircraft to land on water. With recent reports about dangers of flying in the rain, this could really be a godsend for those who like to go out flying in all weather. Interesting
this
one.
Looks like, there you go. You've got it up there.
Yeah. Let's put the last photo up just for a minute. Let's do the last photo. That one there. So you can see it on the skids landing on water there. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's actually that shell is almost similar to the GoPro waterproof casings. It's along that designed along that line.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We got one or two stories left. Let's fit them in the couple of minutes we got left. Next one, this is Razer, and this is the new phone from Motorola. They've launched this as an evolution of the original flippable cell phone that defined the generation. It's now officially arrived in the UAE, but they launched their new product in what can only be described as an uplifting presentation. Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. No audio with this one. Unfortunately, I didn't have rights to the audio, but I did want to share the video imagery. So some nice drone display from Motorola there in launching of their new phone.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Again, we're just flipping through quickly the last couple of stories. I've got two left. I might skip the 8 and we'll go to the 9, the last one of the day. So this one is all about surveillance. So the Scoutonomy is the name of this product. In a new press release, Exxon Technologies has announced its latest military surveillance drone that is designed to save human lives throughout their reconnaissance efforts. Really interesting. It uses AI to go and map an unknown terrain, unknown territory, going around basically searching. It identifies people. It understands what people are. I would assume it's got some thermal technology as part of that as well. But no operator.
No, totally AI.
Totally AI. Really cool.
And that
product.
rotating camera is unique. It looks like a 360 style camera.
Yeah. Look, I don't know the exact details. I'm assuming that's doing some LiDAR and some laser mapping as well as the traditional camera, which I'm sure will be mounted elsewhere on the drone. But you can see the kind of digital map that it's building as it goes around. That's what I believe the LiDAR component is doing. I would again guess that it's got some thermal imagery as well to go and detect people to make that easier. You can do it without it, but it's a lot easier to detect hot spots and then go and focus on them and find out what they are. Some good technology. So we've got 30 seconds left we'll leave it there for today. I'll just quickly put a couple of slides on the screen. As always, upload at gregkuhnert.com. If you want to send anything into the channel, we'll be happy to include it. Number 2, over here, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and many other platforms as well. We're actually live on all of those platforms right now. Number 3, if you want to send us anything physical, the address is 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales 22224. And that's about all we got time for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of today's show. And thanks for jumping in, Lloyd. See you next time.
Always here.
See you next time. Bye for now, everyone.